All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupagus Show. I am One Bar with Lupagus, and today we are talking about the what if. We are talking about what if Mike Zimmer gets fired and five guys who could take his place.
Yeah, why not start thinking about it? The chances of this happening are pretty damn strong at this point. We both love Zim, but sometimes it's time to make a change. And if things keep going the way they are, Vikings definitely have to make a change. So, who are the five candidates who could possibly replace Mike Zimmer?
Wow, tough shoes to fill. We'll let's just hop right into this in no particular order, but let's start off with the one that everybody seems to talk about a lot, the kind of sexy name when it comes to this, and that's Mr. Eric Bieniemy, a familiar face to Vikings fans. He was a running back coach back in 2006. He was here till 2010. I'm not going to give you his whole life story, but let me break him down a little bit. He's 51 years old. He was, as we know, he was I remember having his rookie card. I think he played for the Chargers. Is that it?
Okay.
But he started out at Colorado, bounced around a little bit, UCLA, came to the Vikings, was the guy that was always in Adrian Peterson's face. So, he wasn't scared about that. I loved watching him like a bowling ball, just yap at him. Then went to Colorado, was their offensive coordinator there, kind of laid a turd. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then went to the Chiefs, where he has just become this hot commodity with this explosive offense.
Yeah, and there's a couple of concerns here. The one is he the next Brad Childress who coached under Andy Reid? And, it was really Reid calling the plays, creating the offense. There's a little bit of concern there. But, some of the best things about Bieniemy, you said it, he's got some Minnesota roots, being back with the Vikings in 2006. Turned Chester Taylor into a freaking stallion, worked with Adrian Peterson. And another thing you mentioned is his fire. You got to love how he is in the face of these guys. Doesn't matter if it's Pat Mahomes, Adrian Peterson. This guy, he's pure fire. He's pure intensity. There's no way this guy's the head coach, this team's going to show up not ready to play football.
Yeah. What fires me up about Bieniemy is what you said. He has been a hot name. He definitely deserves a shot, even though he's not really running the offense with Kansas City. He's managing it. Everything you read, he helps assemble the playbook, the game plans. He runs the offensive meetings. He's the one talking to Mahomes week in and week out. Concerns is, again, just because he's helps assemble the game plan and playbook. I don't know if that means he's laminating it or
he's good. He's good with paste.
Yeah, and another thing is other concerns are when he was at Colorado, when he was their offensive coordinator for 2 years. This is if you're wearing socks, I'm gonna knock them right off. They were 4-21, and as far as points per game, they were 109th out of 120 in 2011. 2012, they were 120th out of 124 in points scored, and he was running that offense. That's a little scary. And the other thing that's a little scary is he's had quite a few interviews, and nobody's hired him. That's a little weird.
Yeah, I know. We look at last year. Coaches don't when they have to wait till after the Super Bowl. That really hurts their chances of getting a head coaching job. That could be a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Vikings, I'm going to meet with them early, and if I like them and I want them, I'm just going to say, hey, this is a done deal. We can wait till after you're done with the Super Bowl. I mean, what difference does it make, really? A couple weeks. So, but yeah, that is a kind of weird thing where if they're a playoff team, they don't like to make that choice or make that hire right away.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had interviews, and they just opted to go elsewhere. So that's a little weird. But I think we both agree if Eric Bieniemy just happened to be the next coach of the Vikings, I think we'd let that slide. I think we'd be all right.
Oh, we'd all love it. And another thing too we should mention, I think the Vikings will prefer to have an offensive-minded coach. They just got off having Zimmer. Maybe look for a different, a change and have a guy who's more offensive-minded than Mike Zimmer.
Yeah, I mean, if the Vikings are going to have that early pick and the chance of taking a young quarterback, there's no way they could have a defensive-minded head coach. They would have to have some youngster. It is time. I mean, was it Leslie Frazier before Zimmer? Defense. I mean, we need some crazy dude doing some crazy shit on offense. We're due.
Which is a great segue to my next candidate. San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh. This guy, he was a real popular choice a year ago. Again, I think he had the same kind of issue Bieniemy did where, he was playing in the Super Bowl, probably cost him a couple gigs. I think he did have quite a few interviews. Look what this guy did with the San Francisco 49ers. Came in 2017. They were, I don't know what the rank before that, but they finished 24th in defense. Year after, 13th, and then last year, 2nd overall. So he took this unit, he spit on it, rubbed it in some dirt, massaged it, and it turned out into a beautifully, athletically strong defensive unit. And this guy too, he's another guy who's got a ton of fire. You always see him yelling, screaming on the sidelines. I think he's a kind of a no nonsense, no bullshit kind of coach. And I know he's defense, but man, the Vikings got this guy. I think they'll be giving themselves a hell of a hire.
Yeah, he's kind of been around the block too. He was with the Seahawks in their heyday when their defense was fantastic. He was a linebacker coach for the Jags at San Francisco. Man, they put together one hell of a defense. So he had a great supporting cast, but he's only 41 too. He's a young guy. I don't know. I mean, I'm just so on the other side of things, thinking just offense. I really don't think he's that much of a chance, but he will be one of the top coaches.
Well, you can always hire a sexy young offensive coordinator to take over the quarterback if you do get a new one. Look at like what Jason Verrett, I mean, under the resurgence that guy's having, he's having an unbelievable season, and a lot of that has to do with the defensive coordinator in San Francisco.
All right, let's go to our third one. I'm going to save my favorite for last. I'm going to stick to the defensive side of the ball, get him out of the way. Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles, man, the magician of the Tampa Bay Bucks defense. We all know he spent his time as a head coach with the Jets. To stick up for him, that Jets team was pure crap. I mean, he was dealing with quarterbacks, Fitzpatrick, Geno Smith, Josh McCown. He never really had a chance going in there. But he's had some of the best defenses back when he was with Arizona, and now he's proven again with Tampa. He's been all over the place: Miami, Dallas, Browns, Cardinals, Jets. What he's doing in Tampa this year, he will be a head coach next year. If he's not a head coach next year, I will eat your underpants.
After a run?
Fine. He will be. I know he will be.
What's that Shania Twain song that don't excite me much? Todd Bowles, I don't know. You see him fail just recently as a head coach.
Yeah, but it was
I know there's
everybody
guys
fails with the Jets
who bounce. I know it's the Jets, and the guys do need more than one chance. You've seen like Bill Belichick. I mean, he failed and he came back, and now he's probably the greatest coach of all time. So, would I be excited about this? No. Does it make sense? Yeah, it does make sense. You look at like you said, what he's done with this Bucks defense. Came over. I mean, they were shit last year. Tough against the run. I mean, awesome against the pass, and they're always in quarterbacks' faces. And a lot of that has to do with Antoine Winfield Jr., who the Vikings should have drafted. But I'm not gonna harp on that right now. But yeah, Todd Bowles.
I see him
not
as
a hot name, not a sexy name, not like a Bieniemy or something like that. But definitely a solid choice if the Vikings did go that route.
Yeah, I see him just like the San Francisco. He's in the Zimmer mold. Just straight up defense. Our defense would be fantastic with him. Again, the big concern is the offensive side of the ball. They would have to have some young up and coming offensive coordinator to pair with this guy. But Bowles, I think wherever he goes in his second stint, he is going to prove that Jets fiasco is strictly because of what he was dealt with,
which was
shit. Poop.
All right, let's go to it's always fun to think about that college guy who make his debut at the pros. So why not talk about Daboll Sweeney from Clemson. When this guy got the Clemson gig, there was a lot of questions and concerns about him. He never was even a coordinator. He was a position coach only. I think it was wide receivers. He comes over to Clemson. He has a 135-31 record. They've won 2 national titles, 2016, 2018. And what screams about this guy to me is just, I think he's a major players coach. He loves his players. He gets them fired up. He gets them ready to go. You look how he goes out and tells everybody Deshaun Watson, they're crazy for passing on him. He's going to be the next Michael Jordan, and he's right. Deshaun Watson definitely should have gone a lot higher in that draft. I think this is a guy players are going to love to play for. They're going to play hard for. And again, you're not going to see these zombie-like performances, these stepping on our dick kind of things. These guys should come up fired up and ready to play because Daboll's that kind of guy with that kind of energy.
Yeah, very, very high energy, very passionate. Love watching that dude. He's done well, but like you said, his experience is a big issue. I mean, he is ripping it up at Clemson. There's no doubt about that, but he's never been anywhere at any level in the NFL, which is a little scary for me. Another thing is it's great to think of, hey, Sweeney can come in and you get Trevor Lawrence as well. Hey, what a combo. That sounds kind of like a pipe dream to me. I think this will be a guy that his name continues to come up every year, but he'd be nuts to leave Clemson.
I was going to say the same thing. He's got a cush gig. He's, everybody loves him there. He's done so much. I think he's locked in for another like 50 years.
Yeah, he's 50 years, $3 billion contract.
Why would you leave?
And one other note I will say is if he were to come to the NFL, I think he's going to be all over that Texans job because he's from Texas and Deshaun Watson is there and they love each other. So that might be a match made in heaven.
That does make a lot of sense. Man, you're really on today.
Sweeney. Oh man, all right. My last guy. This is the guy I love. Love this dude. That's Brian Daboll, offensive coordinator for the Bills, 45 years old. This guy has 5 Super Bowl rings. 5 Super Bowl rings and 1 NCAA championship ring when he was with the Crimson Tide. He's been the offensive coordinator a handful of places: Browns, Dolphins, Chiefs. Kind of like Todd Bowles, he was kind of dealt some shitty hands there. I mean, when he was the offensive coordinator for the Browns, he had Brady Quinn.
Don't scream elite offenses that you just listed off.
Well, let me back this up. When he was with the Browns, his quarterback was Brady Quinn. When he went to the Dolphins in 2011, he had Matt Moore. And then he went to the Chiefs in 2012, and he was with Brady Quinn once again and Matt Cassell. So it was not great, but he's played with Belichick. He's played with Saban. He's got quite the resume. Look what he's done with Josh Allen. This Bills team kind of came out of nowhere. Josh Allen was looked at as a great prospect, but kind of a mess. And man, he's turned him in one of the better quarterbacks in the damn league. And side note, if you look this guy up, he looks like somebody that drinks a case of beer for breakfast.
Did you say Matt Cassell? Don't they own Due North?
No. Sorry.
Castle. Yeah. Maybe he's in the same Todd Bowles bowl where you had some shitty talent. But then, the offset to that, the argument would be, why didn't he make that talent better if he's such a great coach?
That was a long time ago, 2010. I mean, that was 10 years ago. He was 34 years old.
Yeah, and actually, right now with the Bills, their defense isn't playing that great. You could probably say they're better offensively at the rate now than they are defensively. I've seen his name linked around too as being a hot head coaching candidate name. And he's that offensive side, which I think is huge. If I'm the Vikings, I'm Ziggy Wolf. That's probably where I'm looking first, depending on who's available, who's out there, and, where they're at with, where their teams are and how quick I want to make a hire. But making that switch would be kind of, I think, a very tempting move to go to an offensive-minded coach over a defensive guy.
Yeah, I mean, having those years with Belichick and then that year with Nick Saban, I think they would Miyagi him into a little bit better than he was in his younger years. But Daboll is the guy I'll be watching.
Look what these guys are going to inherit. They're going to have Delvin Cook. They're going to have Justin Jefferson for years to come. So, I mean, that's very – if you're one of these guys, an offensive coach who's looking for a job, and this does open up, I mean, how enticing would it be to know those two pieces are in place?
Yeah, this is going to be a very hot commodity for offensive coaches, but Bieniemy especially. He was here when Ziggy Wilf was here. He knows his team. He's going to want to come here.
I think he still might have a purple part somewhere.
Damn right.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are the 5 coaches if you're talking placing Mike Zimmer, these are probably 5 very likely candidates and guys who could even get interviewed and maybe hired. Yeah,
let's talk about a couple more random ones. We don't need to go into too much depth about them, but Greg Roman's big name, the Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator, what he's done with Lamar Jackson. I probably could have been the offensive coordinator and Lamar Jackson do the same stuff. But who else you got?
Oh, Byron Leftwich. He's kind of slowly creeping up that ladder of respectability when it comes to offenses. So another name you got to think about. Which I think would be pretty sweet. We both were there when he was drafted, and seeing him become a head coach for the Minnesota Vikings would be something else.
Just means we're older than shit. He's 40 years old. He's been with Bruce Arians, and if somebody takes a flyer on him, that's going to be quite the risk, but it could be quite the reward as well. The last guy I got is, and everybody talks about him every damn year, is Josh McDaniels. You get brought up every year when there's coaching vacancies.
And again, that would be a hell of a hire. He didn't really do great when he was in Denver, but I think he's sticking around New England because I think he wants to be the heir apparent to Bill Belichick. But Definitely a proven offensive mind. You know, you get him here working with this young talent again. It's got to be a little bit tempting for him to leave New England to work with Cook and Jefferson and Irv Smith and Garrett Bradbury.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think he's ever going to leave. He's waiting for that spot, and I wouldn't trust this guy anyways. After he took that Colts job and backed out, I would have issues sleeping at night if he was our coach.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Those are our coaches. Let us know down in the comments if you got a coach that we should have our eye on, or if there's a coach we listed that you definitely want to be wearing purple on those sidelines.
Fred Callio. Hey, didn't you go to the doctor recently and weren't you diagnosed as a climacophilia?
No, but I did get my flu shot today.
Nice, smart. Well, climacophilia is where someone is sexually aroused by falling down the stairs.